We are now officially 24 hours past the 2024 elections, and the lefties have lost their minds. They haven't just lost the plot, they haven't just lost the election, they have lost their minds completely. The things that I have heard, the stories that have been shared with me, as far as those who voted on the other side of the aisle, on the Republican side of the aisle, for Donald Trump. I'm usually not the dude to hop on here and to slander anybody, to speak down on any specific group of people, an individual, but I'm also not the dude to keep quiet when this type of thing is happening. I can't abet it, and we can't let this continue to happen without saying something. I have seen individuals getting death threats. I've seen more than 30 messages on individuals being told that they need to delete themselves, they need to off themselves because of their political opinion. Mind you, these are individuals who simply were celebrating a moment. Maybe they shared a post, with something as simple as Trump 2024, maybe even a hashtag. And some of these individuals have been told to off themselves. Some of them have been told that, these individuals wish that they would lose their babies, that they would miscarry their babies, or their babies would be, offed in the ugliest ways. Folks, I wish this was fiction. And I was actually just, a few minutes ago, I was on a call with a business associate of mine overseas. And when I was explaining the political climate here, he said, this sounds beyond fiction. And I said, I look at it sometimes and I think to myself, this can't be real. There's no way. There's no way that these people are this unhinged. There's no way that these individuals are this demonically possessed. There is no way. But yet I got to see it for myself in the last maybe 48 hours when I finally came out of that conservative closet, if you would say so. And I did so in a very subtle way, in a very comedic way. And I thought, surely they must get the satire. Surely they must get the comedy. But instead what I got was a loss of 1,000 followers on Instagram. Imagine that. The party of love, of unity, of inclusion and acceptance are telling people to go and off themselves, are telling people that they wish that their babies would be deleted. They're wishing that, these people would die in the most horrific ways possible. This is the party of inclusion, the one that says all are welcome, diversity. You and I are one. The party of love and light. Most of my content is centered around spiritual matters. And I had this illusion that these individuals who were following me, who were, listening to this message, I had I think it's naivety at a certain level. I was naive to think that these individuals were all actually listening to the message, not understanding that there are multitudes of narcissists who are hearing your message. It's going through one ear, coming out the other, and all they hear is what they want to hear. So they want to hear, I'm perfect, I'm better than everybody else, cut off all the things that don't serve me, when in truth, they are the very thing that's not serving their entire ecosystem. They are the very toxic thing within their own environment. But all they could hear was what they wanted to hear, because they live in these echo chambers. And I'm not going to sit here and say that we don't all have some version of an echo chamber, but it does matter what's in that echo chamber. If you're in an echo chamber where you're listening to productive, constructive messages all day long, it's different than somebody who's listening to this vile rhetoric of wishing that their opposition would be offed. When Trump had the first assassination attempt done to him, right? The first out of two, mind you. When there was a first attempt and a bullet grazed his ear, almost hit him in the temple of the head, 2 inches away, he would have been gone, right? I remember when that first happened, and it was a shocking moment for all of us. I thought like all Americans would just, view this in proper context. But I remember the next day, there were messages from these lefties, the wokies, basically wishing that the person had finished the job, that the execution was executed. Imagine the type of evil that has to be within you in order for you to have a mind where you wish that level of harm on somebody. And look, I was on the left. So y'all can argue me up and down while it's on both sides. I was on the left and nobody on the right gave me any type of grief, even when I was in their face with my belief systems. They might say, okay, you're wrong and try to argue me, but they would never wish something terrible upon me. I was always told that the right was the racist. I was always told that the right was the sexist and the misogynist. Yet women are being told that you should get raped. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's what's going on right now. I wish I could take if I read out the comments of the last TikTok video that I put out, people sharing their stories, right? If I could read that thing out, we would be sitting here. I don't mean this hyperbolically. We will be sitting here for an hour. The TikTok went viral, right? It's about 750,000 views or something like that in the last 24 hours. If I was to read out those messages for the next hour, your jaw would be on the floor the entire time. Your blood would be boiling. These people are filled with hatred. It's like I already saw the light, 2016 when I started diving into independent research as opposed to, mass media influence. And I was seeing how they were tearing this person down. And I understood if the media machine is doing this much, damage of a person's character, then who is this person really? I was already in distrust of the media back then, 2014, 15, 16. But this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I eventually got into my own research. I was very closeted when it came to any of my beliefs. I was questioning a lot of things. I was in the middle, but yet the moment I started to just articulate any of my questioning, it's like, and I'm going to eventually do a video on this, which is the comparison of the woke culture and a cult, because they are one and the same. There are very few differentiators, except for, in a cult, they at least might have like some sort of virtues or morals that they claim to have. These people, they don't have any. But when I was making that transition, when I started to ask questions, I started to see the backlash, not in the way that it is now, right? I wasn't getting the, threats of my life, etc. at that point. But nevertheless, I had people who didn't want to talk to me, who didn't want to, family members, etc., who were distancing themselves. But now we're in a place where people are being cut off by their mothers. I saw a young woman and her baby was in the back. Like, Mom, try not to cry. I'm like, damn. And she's explaining how her entire family, her grandma messaged her because her mother wouldn't even message her back. Her own mother is like, I'm done with you because of the name that you filled out on a ballot, because of a propaganda machine that has been lying to you, that has been feeding you stories that do not exist, where somebody could just do their own research. If you took 10 seconds to actually look at what was said as opposed to what's been presented in front of you, you would know. But I'm realizing that these people have hatred within them and they're looking to perpetuate the hatred. That's why I do what I do. That's why I speak on the necessity to heal from within. That's why I speak of the necessity of dealing with those childhood traumas, because they will manifest as exactly this, and it's vile and it's disgusting. And there's nothing about it that serves anybody in that process. It breaks families apart. It tears mothers and daughters apart. Husbands and wives, they were pushing campaigns in the US where, Kamala's campaign was saying, wives, like, don't tell your husband who you're voting for, hide your vote because it means it's going to be danger for you. All this wild, wild rhetoric, doing as much to be divisive. Oh, men are misogynistic. That's why they didn't vote. Guess what? More women voted for Trump than voted for Kamala. That's the reality. Why? Oh, well, because they're stupid, they're uneducated, because they're racist? No, because they're sick and tired of the propaganda. They're sick and tired of the lies. They're done. They're finished. They're on their last leg when it comes to this. That's what this is about. Again, oftentimes it's, I don't even know what direction my content will overall take. I will continue to empower people through my message. But I have to tell the entire truth. I have to tell the entire narrative and say it exactly as it is. I do nobody any service by sugarcoating anything. My message is always going to be one of empowerment, which ironically is what we're standing for on this side. The other side is they're professional victims. They are professional victims. They live life to be seen as the biggest victim in order to get the most attention possible, because they feel deprived of that attention, because they have such a low self-esteem. They display these narcissistic characteristics, and they will turn in a flip of a switch. This is why healing is crucial. The shadow work, whatever you want to call it, is crucial. If you do not heal, if you do not get to a place where you have forgiveness in your heart, when you let go of resentments, when you're moving from an empowered place where you know you have personal agency instead of living in a perpetuated victim mentality, this is what you become. You become filled with anger, hatred, jealousy, a vile, vile character. When you do not prioritize having integrity and having a high character as opposed to reputation, how people perceive you. Who are you behind closed doors? Again, I really wish I didn't have to make these videos, but I've been called to one thing, and that's the truth. Simple as that. That's what I am. My allegiance is to truth. And whenever you see me from today, in 10 years, 20, 50 years, I will always have the very same master, which is truth. I have no allegiance to any company, any organization. If I was to start doing sponsorships and things of that nature, commercials, I'm not beholden to a platform. I'm beholden to the truth, period. And this has to be addressed. We have to start speaking out and being honest and confronting, because they're looking to silence the voices of those who have been the silent minority, those who've been afraid to get canceled, those that have been afraid of getting attacked, of what might happen to them or their families. They're not going to do a damn thing. All they know to do is to bark and to complain and to cry. This morning, there was an article of how 750 people offed themselves after Kamala loses. Imagine the level of sinister propaganda that has been pushed to lead these people to such a mentality where they feel as if the world is over now, when in truth, it's actually already getting better. The economy has gone up just because of Donald Trump being elected as the president. I was having this conversation. Overseas, things are changing already because people are preparing for a new economy. And yet these people have been so caught up in this silo. They've given themselves over, what's called a reprobate mind. They've been given over completely to this madness, and it's consumed them. And now they've become carriers of that message. This needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. And it only stops when we speak truth to power, when we do not cower down to the ones who are tearing down and trying to create fear amongst the masses. We have to be honest. We have to confront it, period. They're going to cancel you? Cool. Let them cancel you all they want. Let them cancel you all they want, but the truth isn't going to change. The truth won't change. And when you continue to speak the truth, you are uncancelable. You know, I always talk about like a Dave Chappelle. He's an example I bring up, right? Do I believe everything that he believes? No. Do I believe he's funny? Most times, yeah, he's hilarious. Dave Chappelle, they tried to cancel him over and over and over again. How dare you talk about this community, the LGBT? How dare you talk about those ones, the alphabet community? How dare you talk about those ones, right? So, okay. Netflix. You know, workers at Netflix wanted his special taken off the platform. But the executives, knowing that their business is a machine to create capital, listened to their employees, ignored their employees, and gave Dave another $100 million to make 2 more specials. That's what they did. Because when it's all said and done, you have to stand up to these bullies. Freedom of speech is a natural born right. It's your freedom of thought and freedom of speech. It is your natural born right. Most other things are not really a quote unquote right. They're privileges. That's a right. And that will forever stand. And I will forever stand for your right to believe and say and think what you want, even if you go in opposition to me. But this has to stop.
I used to be afraid of the dark, place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a